Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. We're looking ahead now to game week 4 in the WSL, the last one in September, and looking ahead to the 6 games that are going to be played this weekend. I've got a fantastic panel with me today. Alongside me, your host, Sam Biccarino, we have one of the regulars. It's not the same one as we have on the review show, which we normally do. We've subbed him out, we've done a halftime sub, and in comes the wonderful Tom Maher. Tom, how are we doing?
I'm good. I hope Jacob did well in the first half, so I don't have to do as much work in this second half. Are we on a nice 4-0 victory and I can just kind of phone it in for this episode? What do you think?
Yeah, I would make a Spurs-Man City sort of comparison, but I don't think Jacob will like that. But you will be pleased to hear that Jacob would have gone ahead of you in the Know Your Stat leaderboard if he had won today, but he didn't because he was beaten by Freddie Cardy. Freddie's back.
Yeah, 2 appearances, 1 win. I'll take that. And I've done enough to not get subbed off, so I'll take that. Take both of those.
Yes, Freddie. Yes.
I mean, as you know, you've played 2, won 1, and as any Alico would say, that's basically a winner game. Let's go into the football that's coming up this weekend. It starts on Saturday this weekend, no Friday games, but Arsenal against Villa is the only game on Saturday at the Emirates at midday. This fixture last season was a relatively easy win for Arsenal, a 4-0 win with Russo opening and closing the scoring with Beth Mead and Stila Blackstenius getting the goals in the middle. This one is going to be, I think, kind of a little bit interesting because normally, team plays a game, next week team plays a game. But last week, Villa obviously didn't have a game due to it being postponed following Matt Beard's death. So although the Villa players will be obviously very upset with that, as well the Arsenal players, they have then had an extra week of rest. So there might be a sort of, I don't know, silver lining to what happened to them last weekend. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be enough for them to get ahead of Arsenal. Tom, I'll come to you first on this one. How do you think this game's going to go? Do you think Villa's extra rest is going to help them with this?
Yeah, I suppose the caveat is they're playing in the League Cup against Tottenham on Wednesday, I think, maybe. So it just depends on how much they'll use. I suppose it gives them a bit more of like, they can use different players, or because I'd imagine if they played on the last weekend, then they would have maybe fully rotated this squad for this game. It's hard to know. I mean, Arroyo has quite a good record in cup competitions. She got to the final of the Spanish Cup with Real Sociedad. So, maybe this is something that they're targeting. And so it'd be interesting to see what that lineup is anyway on Wednesday, because Tottenham obviously started well. It's not an easy match in the League Cup. I think if they are able to rest a few of their big players, it could be helpful. But kind of at this early season stage, I don't think it's as big an advantage as it might be, say, when you get to February or March, because you kind of want to get minutes in the legs when you're just out of pre-season at the start of a season. You want to be building those connections at this time of the season and getting into a rhythm. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be a huge advantage for them because Arsenal also have a full week. I don't think they're playing in midweek.
But what do you think the score is going to be?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
most important bit.
This is a tough one to call. He never lets us away with this, Freddie. Never. I think I'm going to go 3-1 to Arsenal.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty similar to what I've put. I've actually put 3-0. I think that Villa haven't had a great start to the season. I think they've lost both games off the top of my head.
They drew the first one and lost to Chelsea.
The first one and lost the next one. I think, I don't think they're going to be troubling Arsenal too much. They might get a goal, but I can see Arsenal getting 2, 3, 4. So I've gone for a 3-0 victory. And, well, as we record, it's Monday night at the moment. Or Monday early evening, I should say, because Ballon d'Or is tonight. So I have put in the running order next to my prediction. Maybe Russo on a Ballon d'Or high. Don't know. Maybe could happen. But yeah, maybe a 3-0 Arsenal win with a Russo hat trick. Freddie, how about you?
Yeah, I like 3-1 as well because, I mean, you mentioned the last meeting at the Emirates was routine for Arsenal, but actually at Villa Park, just after Arsenal beating Lyon in that Champions League semi-final second leg, I mean, Villa put 5 past them in the end, and there was that Villa and Brighton game, which was just remarkable, and then Arsenal went and kept a clean sheet against Barcelona. So there's a lot of threat, actually. There's a lot of pace on the transition. Arsenal managed that quite well. I thought against Melvin Mallard and Manchester United on Sunday. And they're an interesting opponent. There's always a lot of sort of former Arsenal players knocking about. A couple less in this Villa side now with sort of Jordan Nobbs moving on. But Noel Maritz is there, Adam Patton's there, Sabrina D'Angelo as well. So yeah, they're never an easy opponent. They obviously went 1-0 up, 1-1 against Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea a few problems, but I think Arsenal will be raring to go to bounce back from that United draw.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a comfortable victory, whoever you ask, basically on that one. I think the Arsenal. The more I'm thinking about it, the Arsenal clean sheet, I'm not as certain on because. Arsenal have only kept 2 clean sheets in their last 10 games, and that was against Barcelona and Man United. So, similar kind of thing to what Arsenal have always been. They do better against the good teams or the top teams. Not that Villa aren't a good team, but yeah, those that are sort of slightly below Arsenal's level, as you'd expect, they're the ones that they tend to concede on. Let's move on to Brighton Everton. This one is one of the games that's on Sunday at midday, one of 4 games Sunday midday. Everton actually did the league double over Brighton last season, including a 3-2 win away at Brighton. Nikita Paris scoring the winner in the 93rd minute. We spoke a little bit on the previous pod about Everton and how their underlying numbers aren't really correlating to the performances on the pitch. They're sort of looking all right in the underlying numbers, and they're not getting a result, or they're not looking great and getting a great result like they did away at Liverpool. So, they've only got 3 points at the start of the season. I know Brighton they only got their first win of the season last time out. But I think Brighton are just looking like a better footballing team at the moment. So I've gone for a 2-1 Brighton win. Freddie, I'll come to you first. Where do you see this game going?
Yeah, I fancy Brighton as well. But let's have 3-2, shall we? Let's have a couple more goals. I think, as we spoke about, Brighton's front line is a lot to like. Everton and maybe another team who've had so much sort of summer movement that they're gonna you back them sort of get better as the season goes along. I think it's a decent squad overall. I think they've invested in the right areas. They need Vignola to come good again after her sort of hat trick against Liverpool early on in the season on the opening weekend, in fact. But yeah, Brighton, I think they'll be in some serious confidence.
Yeah, and Tom?
Yeah, I think Brighton are looking really good, and yeah, I think it was an absolute hammering on the opening day, wasn't it, last season in this fixture? So maybe that something's. Yeah, I think it was, but so it's the Seike hat trick, wasn't it? So I think that. Yeah, they were really injury struck at that time, Everton. But I think that, it was a real confidence boosting win for Brighton against West Ham last weekend. And I think I'd be leaning towards Brighton, but I think that Everton might go in with the mindset of kind of trying to spoil this game. And we've seen that teams have been able to come to Brighton this season, like Aston Villa, and get a point. I think it might be 1-1. That's probably my prediction.
1-1. Well, we're all saying it's going to be a close game, basically. And historically, those are the ones where someone ends up winning 3-0. We'll wait and see who that's going to be. Let's move on to Leicester Spurs. This fixture last season was 1-1. Rybrink with an own goal, followed by Drew Spence equalising. The past 7 meetings, I noticed, between these 3 teams have had either 1, 2 or 3 goals in the game. So they've not been really high-scoring games, but there's also not been a 0-0. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes because, Leicester have never beaten Spurs in a league game as well. But obviously Leicester are on not high necessarily, but they've obviously beaten Liverpool and then ran Chelsea close last weekend, whereas Spurs, on the other hand, started the season, the first 2 games really well. Not even, I think, conceding 1 shot on target, not conceding a goal, and then getting thrashed by Man City. So 2 relatively different sort of baits of form so far. I think this is going to be a really close game again. I think it's going to follow that trend of having 1 to 3 goals. I put a Spurs 1-0 to edge it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester get on the score sheet. I think it's more likely to be like a 1-1 than it is to be a 2-0 Spurs. But I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs. Tom, how about you?
Yeah, this is a tricky one. I was at Kings Meadow on Sunday and I was really impressed with Leicester. I think especially going 1-0 down within 5 minutes was just, for them to not concede and come within a absolutely wonderful save from Hampton from taking a point off the champions was so impressive. And I think listening to Rick Passmore after the game as well, he seems like he just emphasizes how important it is to be calm in your position as manager and to be calm on the touchline and infuse that calmness to the players. And I feel like I could see how he might be able to do that. And I think he's doing a really good job so far. Likewise, obviously, Tottenham's Martin Ho's done a really good job. And I think they maybe just came up against a Man City side that were just kind of really starting to click together last week. I could see this being a draw. I think the difficulty for Leicester is goals. They're still really struggling to find goals. And I know you're not going to solve your goal scoring issues away at Chelsea, but even though they played really well, it was kind of that pot shot from distance was really the only kind of chance they had in that game of any kind of muster. And, against Liverpool as well, they obviously won, but I think they only created 0.2 XG in that game, which isn't a lot either. So I think I'm going to go 1-1 would be what I'd go with. But I think that, I think Tottenham probably have the edge with their ability to score goals, basically.
Yeah, sort of if someone's going to win it, it's going to be Spurs kind of thing. Freddie, how about you?
Yeah, I quite like Leicester at home, actually. I've seen them sort of cause problems against a few sides, sort of going and doing games at the King Power. But I think there's a lack of firepower in this game, to be honest. And it's going to be sort of about who takes the risk. I think, as you're right in saying, Leicester were really good against Chelsea by all accounts. And actually Spurs' defence, I thought, were really, really poor. There were a lot of individual errors against Manchester City. So actually how sort of attacking Leicester go is going to be really interesting. So I think it could easily be 1-0 either way. I might call for a 1-0 Leicester potentially to swing it the other way.
Fair enough. Well, I think I'm going to be going to this game, so I'm hoping that if anyone's going to be right, it's probably going to be Freddie, because I think it's going to be a bit of a better atmosphere if Leicester win than if Spurs win. Let's go on to Liverpool against Man United. This one also midday on Sunday. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, Liverpool's game last week didn't take place due to the passing of Matt Beard. Liverpool have not got a point yet this season, and they are hosting an unbeaten Manchester United. However, this fixture last season is something Liverpool should take a bit of promise from, because that was Liverpool 3, Man United 1. Olivia Smith getting 2 goals. Fuka Nagano was the other one for the home side, and then Milo Tissier scoring very late on for Manchester United. I would like, as an Arsenal fan especially, I would like Liverpool to win this game. I think it would be not just, like I think, kind of like I said, as an Arsenal fan, it would be good for Arsenal if Man United drop points, but I think it would also be a really nice moment for Liverpool. The first one they've played after Matt Beard's passing, this would be a really nice way to sort of, I think it'd be a really emotional win if they manage to do that, and it'll be an emotional game, however it goes. But I do just see Man United running away with this a bit. I think they are really impressive so far this season. I thought they'd be good, but I didn't think they would be as good as they are. So it's real credit to Mark Skinner and the players of how well they're playing so far. They're so defensively strong. I know they didn't create much at the weekend against Arsenal, but they were so defensively good. I think Fallon Joyce had, technically one shot, because the one that I think she saved that went out for a corner that wasn't a corner didn't get put down as a shot. So whether she saved 1 or 2, who knows? But if you're only facing 2 shots on target against Arsenal, you're doing something good defensively. And then going forward, their firepower is so good at the moment. Players like Elizabeth Turland are stuck on the bench. And I know there's a bit of resting going involved there, but still, it's really, really impressive for Man United at the moment. I don't think it's going to be an absolute thrashing necessarily on the scoreline, but I do think Man U will dominate the game, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for them. Tom, I'll come for you first on this one.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you've just said, Sam, to be honest. Those were kind of my thoughts really as well. I think it's really tough, and I really hope that Liverpool can can put on a good performance, I can't imagine how difficult it's going to be for so much of that squad to come out and play football again after everything that's happened. And for that reason, it's really hard to give a prediction in this game. But on a purely footballing basis, I think that if they come out trying to play the way Gareth Taylor wants them to play, it's going to completely play into Man United's hands. I think if they start trying to play out from the back, United's press has been so good this season. I think United could really. I'm going to go 5-0 United.
5-0. That is a bold prediction. Freddie, are you going to be as bold or a bit more reserved like me?
Nearly. I'm going to go with 4-0. I fear for Liverpool this season, and I think United look good actually, and I think Jess Park was starting to see what she can do as well. She sort of had glimpses against Arsenal yesterday, and I think, yeah, you're right. United have. To have Turland sort of score a hat-trick against Brown in real style and move Mallard out wide, and then not even start Turland against Arsenal. I know their depth isn't probably what they'd like it to be and what Mark Skinner would like it to be, but you'd still back them to get the job done against Liverpool. And I worry a bit for Liverpool this season. I don't think their squad's quite good enough, and Gareth Taylor, I think, has got a lot of work in his hands.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are sort of fearing for Liverpool this season. I think before the start of the season, I put them, 10th as my sort of prediction. But it's been, not a good start for them with those first two games. They've obviously had the situation with their goalkeeper as well. So, I don't know what's going to happen there and what their plans are, but I feel bad for Faye Kirby because I know she's been sort of thrown in at the deep end, not having played friendlies and things. So, we're going to have to see how they fare for the rest of the season. The final game at midday on Sunday is Manchester City hosting London City Lionesses, and I think this might be the most interesting game of the weekend. London City Lionesses obviously got their first WSL win last time out. Manchester City also got a really big win away at Spurs. So these are two teams in really good spirits, in good form. And I think LCL is starting to get to the point where they're gelling. I think they looked not just... they didn't just get a win against Everton. I think they actually played really well. I think it's probably their best performance so far. It'd be interesting to see if they can take that away to Manchester City. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I do think they're going to trouble City. I think they're going to score. I can see them getting on the score sheet when they've got players like Goodwin as well as Aslani and Paris, and they've got a lot of goal threat and a lot of quality, and I think it's really getting there. So I'm going to go for a Man City win, but LCL to score, and I'm going to go for 2-1. I think it might be quite close. Freddie, how about you?
I was just thinking 2-1.
You can copy me, it's fine.
Let's have 3-1, because I feel like I'm doing slightly different to everyone's predictions. Yeah, this will be interesting, actually. Like I said on our sort of review show, I think London City is starting to find their groove and will get better as the season goes along. It's going to be a test sort of their defensive resolve. They sort of came apart against Arsenal in terms of that game, and City have put 5 past Tottenham and are starting to look better as well. Clinton's got settled in, so yeah, it's two sort of improving sides at the moment, and I can see London City making a good fight of it, as they will really in every game. But I think City are just starting to find their groove now and have got a lot of attacking threat.
Yeah, I think even with Hemp out, they've still got so many class players. And I know, Tom, you were actually at the game, Spurs City, weren't you? So you're probably best placed to give a prediction for this one.
Yeah, they were fantastic. They really were. They were really a real joy to watch, actually, Carolyn. I know that I'm looking forward to hearing Jacob's thoughts on Carolyn, because I know he really enjoyed her performance. But I think I'm not as convinced by London City as you both. I think that they were a little bit lucky to come away with a win against Everton. I think Elena made 7 saves, and I think Courtney Brosnan maybe made 1, which kind of tells a little bit of a story. I think that City are kind of coming together now. I think City are going to win this one 3-0.
3-0. That'll be also the first game this season, I believe, that London City Lionesses won't have scored in. after scoring obviously against Arsenal.
I'm with you though, Sam, on the fact that, when you've got a player like Aslani in your team, she can create something out of nothing, and especially against her former club as well. It wouldn't surprise me if she got an unbelievable assist or got on the score sheet from 30 yards out. You can never count her out.
Yeah, watch it be Aslani assist in Paris against Man City. Could happen. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend. West Ham hosting Chelsea 2:30 at Tom's second home, Chigwell Community Stadium. This fixture last season was a 5-0 Chelsea win, and West Ham have never beaten Chelsea in any competition. So, yeah, I guess those sort of stats make it sound like it's definitely going to be a Chelsea win. I'm not going to let Freddie copy everyone's predictions this time because they're going to make him go first.
Tell you what, let's go bold on this one, because I'm seeing Chelsea fans calling for Sonia to be sacked after they beat Leicester. I mean, Twitter's gone mad, and I've only watched the highlights, and I'm like, what's going on? Because
they were gone mad. It's been mad for ages.
They're top of the league again. But look, I'm not going to tell Chelsea fans how to feel. There are people who cover them and watch them a lot closer than I do. But from an Arsenal perspective, it's quite interesting to sort of see the reactions, because I'm sure Arsenal fans wouldn't mind a season playing badly and winning the league, because that's so called for. But I think West Ham took points of Chelsea last season. They need to bounce back, and if Chelsea are scraping past Leicester, it's at Chigwell, at the Chigwell Construction Stadium in Dagenham. So 1-1 draw. Let's go. It's not even that bold, but let's go for it.
1-1 draw. I'm not going to be quite as bold as you. I think there's going to be 2 goals in the game, but I think they're both going to be to Chelsea. West Ham, are not convincing me this season. I think they've lost 3 games already, and this will be the 4th. But I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Chelsea are playing a team that are playing poorly and draw 1-1. It happened obviously last season with Leicester, and maybe West Ham could be the team this season. Tom, how about you?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think West Ham have kind of, that first game against Tottenham was a bit of a coin flip in the end. I thought they were maybe marginally the better team, and it was, was it Tottenham's first shot on target that they scored with from the penalty? And then, the next 2 games, probably 2 of the hardest games they'll play in the season, Arsenal and then Brighton away. And obviously they've not come away with any kind of result in either of them, far from it. But I think less so against Brighton, but against Arsenal, I thought the way they went about their play and the way they tried to play was really encouraging. And I spoke to Rianne Skinner after that game, and she said essentially, along the lines of, if we're losing 3-1, I'd rather lose 5-1 and give us a chance of drawing 3-3 than, just losing 3-1 and shutting up shop. And I think that's what you want to hear from your manager when you're coming up against these big sides, because, for so long, there hasn't been that kind of ambition from West Ham to go toe-to-toe with these big clubs, who obviously have a much, much bigger budget. And I think that will pay off. And I think that probably Rianne Skinner is a manager who learns a lot from those kind of experiences. So I think that they'll probably be a bit more compact, a bit more defensive than they were against Arsenal, just because I'd say confidence is probably a bit lower than it was going into that game. And I see I'm foreseeing a similar thing to both of you. I think that they might cause Chelsea some issues, but I think Chelsea will probably just have enough to scrape past. Maybe Sam Kerr off the bench when it's 1-1. One goes in off the back of her leg or something like that at a corner, and 2-1 in the 90th minute, something like that. I think I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea, but I anticipate a much improved performance for West Ham from that Brighton game.
And it'd be really interesting to see what Sam Kerr gets in terms of minutes, because obviously she's had a few appearances off the bench now, and she'll be, I guess, really not demanding necessarily, but really looking forward to her first start again. And this may well be the game that it comes. We know what Bompard score.
Oh, sorry, Sam. There's a lot of talk about Saoirse Nusken at the moment, Saoirse Nusken, whether she's just a little bit of, she's kind of had a few injuries she's picked up during the weeks leading up to games, and she said in a couple of interviews some interesting things about her future at Chelsea, and you just wonder, the midfield, I think Captain and Macario kind of struggled a little bit against Leicester. You just wonder if she is fit, whether this would be a good game to play her in. It could be a good indicator as to what her future is and whether she's in Sonia Bonpastor's plans or not if she starts.
Yeah, that is interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because she's someone that was so integral to them last year. I think she was one of the best players in the league, and I was certainly considering. I don't think I did in the end, but I was certainly considering putting her in my team of the season. And yeah, she's not really having much of a look in. But when there's so much depth at Chelsea, I think if you are a sort of Nuskan level player who is, basically world class, you don't want to be rotating around necessarily. You might want to see what opportunities there are out there. So it'd be interesting to see where she ends up. They are the 6 games going on this weekend, but let's touch on aerial fantasy before we go, because last week, as we covered in the review episode, was not the most exciting week of football, and it wasn't the most exciting week of football either in aerial fantasy. One of the most low-scoring ones we've had for some time, but I think this weekend could be significantly better for people. I think there's a few fixtures that we can see some of the sort of star players as such getting out there and getting a lot of points. I'm thinking Alessia Russo at home against Aston Villa. I'm thinking people like Letitia and Melvin Mallard away at Liverpool. Maybe Bunny Shaw at home to London City Lionesses. Chelsea, I have no idea. There's a part of me that really wants to put Aggie Beaver-Jones in my team, but I know as soon as I do it, that Bonpastor bingo is going to get me, and that's when Sam Kerr is going to start. So I'm still avoiding Chelsea other than Hannah Hampton and Ellie Carpenter. Ellie Carpenter might even be my captain this week, but I'm going to wait until after the cup games have happened so I can see if there's any injuries, but try and time it so I get it before the price changes. But I'm looking at probably transferring Russo in and making her my captain this week. If I don't, I'm probably going to keep Bunny Shaw and make her my captain, but I'm going to be looking to bring in not necessarily the sort of Chelsea, City, United, Arsenal players like we normally see, but maybe some Spurs and Brighton players, because I know that, well, Arsenal, Man United, City and Chelsea are all playing each other in the next game week, and I sort of need to plan ahead a little bit. And I don't just want to flood my team with all those players and then they're all playing each other. So yeah, I'm going to be looking into potentially bringing some players from Spurs and Brighton, because I think they are the 2 teams that aren't involved with the top 4 this week that might get a win. I'm looking at people like Rose Kafaji. I'm looking at people like Beth England, maybe even Olivia Holt. I think she's a really good player. She might even still be a visionary. So yeah, that's where I'm looking at. But I think Alessia Russo captain is the way that I'm going to go. Tom, how about you?
Yeah, I had a bit of a mare this week because I brought in 2 Aston Villa players, which obviously didn't end up working out because I saw that Grant and Salmon were both visionaries. So I thought I'd be smart. And yeah, that's what happens when you try and be smart with fantasy. Basically, I think the players I'd be looking at, so I have Fagino, but if you don't have Fagino now, she's still a visionary. I think I'd be bringing her in. Same with Carolyn. She's also visionary. I think those 2 being visionaries, it sounds like Hemp might be out for a while. To be honest, we haven't had any update from that, but Jurglitz said that they were all very sad after the game and after it happened. So that doesn't really sound great, I must say, as far as the prognosis is concerned. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I've been on not flooding my team with too many big players from the big sides. I think I obviously transferred out Kafaji last week, which is another great bit of business from me. So yeah, I'm not so sure why you listen to me and my advice. Actually, you should probably move on to Freddie. But I think there's a few good picks here, and targeting games like London City Lioness at home for Man City, or Man United at home against Liverpool, I think are quite wise, especially players like, I think Mallard's a very good, smart player to bring in because she's kind of feels like she's a little bit more fixture-proof than a lot of the others because she can play out on the wing and up front. Whereas like obviously Turland doesn't play out in the wing, she plays up front. So if Mallard's playing through the middle, she's not going to be out wide. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And yeah, I'm not necessarily one to be listening to that much either, because I've just checked my score and I'm actually below you. So neither of us have done very well. I had an awful week because I kept hold of Pullover, who didn't play. I had Bunny Shaw, who I captained. She got 3 points. I had Lauren Hemp transferred in. Obviously spent a lot of money on her and took Chloe Kelly out. Not a good idea. And I already have Capox, and then I transferred Salmon in as well. So yeah, not a good weekend all round. Although I think by the sound of it, the Villa players and list players are going to sub out. So I'll have Sandberg and Koga come on, who at least got some points. But yeah, not a good week. Hopefully it'll be a better one coming up. Freddie, how about you?
Yeah, I made a couple of changes along actually the similar lines of you guys thinking. I brought Alba Fagino in for Manchester City, and then Amanda Nilden had a good start as well. I think with that Leicester game, talk about the sort of lack of Leicester goals. But it's been a weird one with Chelsea, actually, because I've sort of had Sandy Baltimore in there, and she obviously had such a good season last year. It's not quite been the same. Naomi Gurma's sort of been in and out the side, sort of still adjusting to English football. So it's been tough from that perspective. The decision for me is captaining Russo or Bunny Shaw, which is I might have to sort of flick between the two of them over the week, because that's a tough old decision. So yeah, a couple of changes for me. I think we all had sort of a low scoring game week over the weekend. But I've got Michelle Agermang up front. I can't believe she only got 2 points in the last game. But yeah, hopefully a few more this time out.
Yeah, maybe for me as well, because I think, Brighton getting a few more points would be good news for my team. But yeah, there's some of the picks that we'll give you this week for Aerial Fantasy. If you didn't listen to the review pod, I should shout out as well that Aerial Fantasy have been nominated for a FCA this year, Football Content Award, for the best fantasy game. And also one of our sort of semi-regulars over the summer, Emily Herbert, has been nominated as well. So yeah, go and have a look, check those out, and get voting, because we are, super proud of both. Before we go, Freddie, I just want to give you a quick shout out as well, because obviously this isn't the only podcast you're on, is it?
No, we've got our Gooner Fanzine Arsenal Woman podcast. We're the only one who does sort of weekly updates on all things Arsenal Women. Myself, Izzy Gilligan, who's been on your pod, and Daisy Goodhand as well. We've got a sort of revolving cast who come on that, and we also do sort of on the whistle reaction for all of the Arsenal Women games as well, trying to sort of up our video output this year.
Yeah, excellent. So Daisy's actually coming on the pod, on our pod, in a couple of weeks as well. So you'll have, listener, if you haven't listened to Gooner Fanzine, you'll at least have listened to all the hosts. You'll know what they sound like, and then go over and enjoy it. But that is all from us today on Decoding the WSL. As I mentioned before, you can come and be a friend on Patreon. You can go and enter our Football Manager giveaway on Instagram. But you heard me talk about those yesterday, so I won't go over it all again. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Freddie, for joining us today as well. And we'll see you at the next one.